So in this video, I'm going to give you my 5 best Klaviyo tips. I've been using Klaviyo for quite a few years now for loads of different clients, and I just find that it's probably the best CRM stroke email marketing system that I've ever used. And I'm going to just explain a little bit about why, but these are really the 5 best tips that I can give you. The things that if you do will make a huge difference to your Klaviyo marketing and your marketing in general. So let's just jump straight into it. Tip number 1, and probably the most powerful one, is use the amazing tracking in Klaviyo. So you may or may not know this, but the tracking, the lead source, which tells you where your leads have actually come from and where your customers have come from in Klaviyo, is really, really good. It's better than any other CRM I've ever used, perhaps with the exception of HubSpot, but that's extremely expensive. So what you might not know is in Klaviyo, it records from UTM tracking parameters, both the original source of the lead, so where it first came into Klaviyo from, whether it was LinkedIn, Facebook, some other channel, but then it also, in a separate set of fields that are in Klaviyo standard, records the latest source. So it will log the original source where the lead first came from. That will never change. Those are fixed fields, they can't be overwritten, but then it will continuously update as and when required the latest source, just to let you know the last kind of touch point, the last channel that the prospect or lead interacted with, and like a form that it converted in Klaviyo. So that's really, really powerful. It's better than any other system I've ever used, as I say, perhaps with the exception of HubSpot. And if you're not paying attention to that and using the reporting in Klaviyo to link, which of your prospects are turning into paying customers with that lead source information telling you where the leads have come from, then you're really missing a trick. So make sure that you use that. If you need me to explain a little bit more about it, just post in the comments, ask me a question about it. I can, chat with you a bit more in the comments and explain where it is and exactly how to use it. But yeah, really make sure that you're using that. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2 would be personalization. So what you don't want to do is send the same email to your entire email list every single time that you send an email. That's just wrong, especially if you've got more than about 5,000 emails. You're going to have lots of different types of people, types of prospects and customers in there. So really get in the habit of segmenting the contacts in Klaviyo and sending different emails to different segments. So it may be that you don't have enough segmentation information at the moment. That's something to work on. Try and look for ways to, with new customers coming into Klaviyo, try to get a little bit more information from them in the form, add 1 or 2 extra fields at least in your forms, just so that there's a bit more information coming in that you can then use to segment, and then you can then personalize emails that you're sending to different segments. But then with existing customers, if you've literally just got, name, email, maybe an address, phone number, what you can do with them is just send them an email that sends them to another form asking them to give you a little bit more information. So if you just explain that this is for better segmentation, better personalization, it's going to help them because you're going to send them more relevant emails. They should be absolutely fine with that. So that's probably the second big thing is, make sure that you get information about your leads, your customers, wherever possible, to help you to segment them and send different emails to different segments so that you can personalize what you send. This is going to have a really positive effect. You're going to see less people unsubscribing. You're going to see higher click-through rates because the emails that you're sending to those different segments are more personalized to them and more relevant, and that can only be a good thing. Tip number 3 is to use SMS marketing. So one of the great things about Klaviyo, and there are lots, are that it has really good SMS integration and functionality baked into the system. So use it. Just test sending some SMS messages. Set it up in Klaviyo. It's quite cheap. It's literally just 1.5 pence per message, I think, is the going rate at the moment. and you can just test with, you know, couple of hundred messages. So maybe just try it out by just sending a couple of test messages to very select segments of maybe, you know, 50, 100 people at a time in your Klaviyo, you know, email database. But definitely get in the habit of trying SMS messaging and using it to drive people to your website, to special offers that you're running, that kind of thing. You know, with SMS messaging, you're looking at 95% open rates and up to 50% click-through rates. You know, when I've done this, it works. It's incredibly effective when used right. So if you're not using SMS messaging, then again, you're missing a trick. And, you know, definitely start testing it out. Tip number 4 would be to mix up your emails a little bit, and don't be afraid to use short plain text emails. So a lot of people, you know, throw the kitchen sink into their emails, every single email, lots of images, lots of text, loads of different kind of call to action, making them really, really long. Often for me, a great email is very short, it's very to the point, just maybe one nice image, and it just has a really strong call to action, driving people back to a dedicated landing page on your website. That's what I'm looking to do, is get them back on the website, where you can do a lot more on a website page. You know, and once they're on your site, chances are, if they like what they see, they're going to click around, they're going to engage with all the content on your site a little bit more, rather than just being stuck inside a single email. So, you know, I've found over the years that some of the best emails, the most effective emails that I've sent, have been very short, sometimes just plain text emails, maybe 2-3 paragraphs, no images, with a really, really strong call to action. People just read it, you know, it makes sense. There's a really compelling reason for them to click the call to action. And, you know, I've got, you know, as I say, 10-15% click-through rates with those kinds of emails. And then when they've gone onto the landing page on the website, that's done the heavy lifting, and that's done what, you know, what I wanted them to do. The email was really just a way to get them to the page on the website. So don't be afraid to use short plain text emails. And the final tip number 5, is to A/B test all the time. So, you know, if you're using Klaviyo, the context that you have in there, the email list that you have in there, is different to anyone else. Your brand is different, your company is different. So, you know, what works for you or what works for anybody else might not work for you at all or as well. So it's crucial that you do your own A/B testing. What I'd recommend here is to work through a matrix, just in an Excel spreadsheet or a Google sheet, have a series of tests that you do systematically. And, you know, every time you send an email, just test one thing. So I would start with probably 10 things that you're unsure of that you want to test. So, for example, short subject lines versus longer subject lines, adding 3 or 4 images in an email, plus just maybe adding one, short emails, long emails, the list goes on and on and on. So what you need to do is test all of these things to find that kind of magical combination that works for your emails to your specific email list. So try and get in the habit, every time you send an email, more or less, of testing something and logging it and systematically working through lots and lots of A/B tests. So those would be the 5 things that I think I've found to be the most valuable. So if you incorporate those 5 things into your Klaviyo email marketing, I think that you'll probably find that everything works better in Klaviyo. You know, you have a lot more success with your emails in terms of open rates, click-through rates, and you just find that you get more out of the system. So give them a try. If you're unsure about anything, if you want any information or advice on anything that I've mentioned, then just leave me a comment, subscribe to the channel, drop me an email. There's links down below, and I'd be more than happy to help and give you a bit more advice on anything to do with the things that I've mentioned, anything else to do with Klaviyo. But also, you know, I'm a fractional CMO, so if you want advice on any other area of your marketing, doesn't have to just be Klaviyo, let me know, and I'll be very, very happy to help wherever I can.